Hello friends, this is Dr. Ranjit Singh once again with you. Today we will discuss a very important aspect of Shakespearean tragedy, comic relief. Comic relief refers to humorous content in a dramatic or literary work, intends to offset or divert the spectator's attention from more serious episodes for a few seconds. For example, between the tragic stories, you hear a few songs that supply comic relief. Comic relief is the inclusion of a humorous character, scene, or witty dialogues in an otherwise serious work, often to relieve tension. Comic relief usually means a releasing of emotional or other tension resulting from a comic episode interposed in the mid of serious or tragic elements in a drama. Comic relief is a literary device used in plays and novels to introduce light entertainment between tragic scenes. It is often used in the shape of a humorous incident, a funny incident, a tricky remark, or a laughing commentary. It is deliberately inserted to make the audience feel relief. In this sense, it makes the tragedy seem less intense. Although it is often considered a diversion, it plays a significant role in advancing the action of the play or the novel. Etymologically, comic relief is a phrase of two words, comic and relief. The meanings are clear that it is a relief provided through comic incidents or comic remarks. Comic relief often takes the form of a bumbling, making foolish mistakes like faltering, and wisecracking. Wisecracking is making witty remarks or jokes. So, comic relief often takes the form of a bumbling, wisecracking of the hero or villain in a work of fiction. A sidekick. Sidekick is a slang. It is a slang expression for a close companion or colleague of the main hero. So a sidekick is used for comic relief that will usually comment on the absurdity of the hero's situation and make comments that would be inappropriate for a character who is to be taken seriously. Other characters may use comic relief as a means to irritate others or keep themselves confident. After an action scene in a play or a critical moment in a story, there is a huge amount of tension in the air, and the audience or readers are reeled up. In order to calm the audience down, the author of the play or story has to use comic relief. This involves using comedy and humor, which can be in the forms of a humorous scene, a character having funny lines, or puns. Puns refers to the words that have more than one meaning. Comic relief is used in a genre of literature that is not comedy, and it is done in order to relieve the audience or readers of the dramatic tension that the scene in the piece of literature has caused. Although the tension is relieved, the contrast in the genre of the scene with high tension and the moment with the comic relief strengthens the audience's emotions about the critical scene. Comic relief occurs when the work enters a dramatic moment, but the character continues to be comical regardless. Greek tragedy did not allow any comic relief within the drama, but had a tradition of concluding a series of several tragic performances with a humorous satire play. Even the Elizabethan critic Sidney, following Horace's Ars Poetica, he pleaded for the exclusion of comic elements from a tragic drama. But in the Renaissance England, Marlowe, among the university wits, he introduced comic relief through the presentation of crude scenes in Dr. Faustus, following the native tradition of interlude, which was usually introduced between two tragic plays. In fact, in the classical tradition, the mingling of the tragic and the comic incidents was not allowed. Shakespeare didn't follow in the footsteps of the classical predecessors when writing tragedies. Greek and Roman writers didn't use comic relief, but Shakespeare wanted to relieve the tension for the reader and lighten up the mood here and there. A few examples of comic relief scenes include the Gravedigger Scene in Hamlet, the drunken porter scene in Macbeth, the fool is very smart, so his dialogues in King Lear. In all of Shakespeare's tragedies, comic relief is used in order to bring out the full effect of the unfortunate events that occur, mainly through contrast. In Macbeth, comic relief is shown through the porter, who makes his entrance right after the dramatic scene, high in tension, where the King of Scotland, Duncan, is murdered. At the beginning of the play, the three witches appeared and prophesied that Macbeth would be king. From this moment up until the scene where Macbeth actually kills the king, tension is being built up because the audience knows that Macbeth is about to take action based on the prophecy of the witches. In this scene, the tension explodes and the scene serves as a sort of miniature climax. This tension is relieved after the porter scene, but the comedy brought from it contrasts with the scene with the murder, showing the difference between the pure evil and innocent comedy. Thus, stronger emotions to the murder scene are brought out from the audience, effectively captivating their attention to the play. Macbeth, the comedy is confined practically to two passages. One, the porter scene that we have just discussed, which falls just between the knocking at the gate and the discovery of Duncan's murder, that heightens horror far more than it relieves. And the second one is the playful dialogues between Lady Macduff and her child that gives a momentary relief from the tension of the murders that were taking place in Macbeth's kingdom. Then let's take another example. The dialogues of the fool in King Lear. It is very interesting that King Lear was indeed a powerful and a beloved father, enjoying the love of his daughters. When he was a wealthy king, they used to falter him. All the daughters used to love him very much. However, when he is a poor man, after dividing property, every daughter becomes blind towards him. They do not care for him at all because he is poor now. So the joking and mocking behavior of the court jester, the fool, provide the comic relief at several other places in the play also. These lines here I have quoted, they bring relief for the readers when the tragedy is overwhelming. And the fool says, fathers that wear rags do make their children blind, but fathers that wear wax shall see their children kind. Now, let's have one example from Hamlet. A very great example of comic relief from Hamlet is the Gravedigger Scene after Ophelia's death. The two clownish gravediggers in this scene are talking about the drowning of Ophelia and her burial in the graveyard. The lines that I have quoted here from the scene show how jestingly this gravedigger is exempling the suicide in a way that it does not seem that he is accusing the dead Ophelia. Rather, he is accusing the water. This is comic relief as it provides the audience a chance to smile after going through heavy sorrows of the death of Hamlet's father and melancholy of the young Hamlet, and also prepares the audience for the coming calamity, coming doom of Hamlet. So my friends, this was all for today. Hope you must have understood the concept of comic relief in Shakespearean tragedies. So thank you very much.